I could have you just come all down, but yeah, we could do that. But anyway, thanks for coming to the 3 o'clock session, now at 3:10. We'll blame Imran wherever he is. No, just kidding. Imran and I work together. I'm one of the co-founders of Social Radar, a new mobile app. Hopefully you've heard about it. We're launched in DC about 11 weeks ago in the App Store. My co-founder is Michael Chasen, who is was the CEO and co-founder of Blackboard. I think probably many of you have mentioned, know of the company Blackboard. A little bit about myself before we go in, and then I'll talk about mobile and apps, and hopefully this will be entertaining and worthwhile for you. Try to keep you kind of high pace, go at a high pace here. So 12 years at Blackboard myself, and actually before that was at an agency, Arnold, giving a little shout out up there to Chris, who had worked with me many years ago, and then now at Social Radar. So before I get into really what's happening in the app and mobile space, I really want to talk about some of the generation and the folks that are really using it. Have any of you heard of the Mindset? Mindset is done by Beloit College. Every year they do this kind of annual review of what the incoming class is, what they're up to and what some of their interests and backgrounds are. So basically, the class of 2016, I think some of these might make you laugh. I think a lot of you are of my generation. I don't think anybody's really, maybe a few of you are millennials here, but really, they don't know what Pulp Fiction is. They've never heard of a Royale with cheese, right? Bill Clinton is one of these older presidents. Obviously, no president in their lifetime. They've always, of course, had cyberspace in the internet, and they're basically electronic narcotics. And then Robert De Niro is best known as Greg Fokker, and not, of course, as Vito Corleone. So just a little bit of the mind shift here that's going between it. This picture I like. Of course, when I was in college, Nirvana was the biggest band in the world. And really, just to give you a flash forward of what this kid who was famously put on the cover, here he is today. And you talk about, there he is on the right there, all tattooed up. He's got Nevermind on his chest there as the name of the Nirvana album here. But really, he's all grown up. He's 21, 22 years old, and this is the generation that really we're marketing to, right? So we're talking about a fully connected generation where millennials, 50% of millennials, have said that they would give up their information as long as there was something valuable in return. 56% said that they would share their location in order to receive nearby coupons. And 25% would give away personal information in order to get relevant advertising. Maybe that's new, maybe that's not new for many of you, but something to think about when we're talking about where we're going in terms of mobile and where's this app economy. So speaking of the app economy, it's now $72 billion, and of course it'll double in 4 years if you believe the industry analysts. And there's a rise of mobile first. So hotels tonight, anybody use hotels tonight? Or of course, I think hopefully many have heard of it. They launched mobile first, right? And that's a pretty big deal within the travel space, right? Of course, you go to book your stuff on a website. You go to Kayak, you go to Orbitz, but now these companies are going mobile first. And really, I think that I've heard this in other presentations today, that tablets, of course, are now outselling PCs. And the millennial generation has very little to fear in terms of technology. This is great new information in terms of the explosion of apps. So 86% of the time on your mobile device is really used within an app. Okay? That goes beyond email, that goes beyond your web browser. So obviously, the app generation is not only here to stay, but it's thriving. And that's an average of 2 hours and 19 minutes a day. Okay, so if you just even think about your own behavior and all of the activities that you might do on Facebook or some of the other social networks, that time is adding up quite a bit. And the graphic on the right here is the use of smartphones and tablets have now outpaced 51 to 49. It's gone the other way, where more time is spent on your mobile devices than it is at your laptop. So interesting. Of course, we all know this, Uber, right? So one thing that we're seeing in terms of Uber, of course, there's many fans of Uber. I'm sure there's lots of people who like it in this room or have used it. But the one thing that's really interesting is because of this app culture that's going on and because of the new powerful technologies that are embedded in our phones are really essentially a beacon, right? They're a beacon in our pocket. It pulls down our location. And Uber is something that we don't really think about, but we constantly pings our location, right? When we call for an Uber service, it grabs our location. So all of this technology is really to bring you here and now, and you're seeing an explosion of apps. Anybody know what this is? Tinder, probably one of the hottest apps out there today. It also uses location. So you're seeing this combination of the power of location and the power of using your social media profiles to be able to get a value in return. In this particular case, it's dating, or may we say something else. So those who are in the know what I'm talking about. But really, it's the power of the location. And more we're seeing that come into play, and that whereas 2-3 years ago, to give up your location was perceived as maybe freaky or a little bit, I don't want them to know where I am. Anybody know what this is? Anybody have this? Find My Friends, right? It's brought to you by Apple. It's an Apple service that you can load up your information and then be able to connect with your family or friends and then look on a map and be able to see where they are at all times, right? And in some ways, that's a little bit of what we do, and this is my shameless plug here for Social Radar. But really, what we are able to do is take all that location information, combine it with your social media profiles, and when you combine it, you're able to see and understand who's in the room, right? And know how you're connected to them and know what they've been up to. So for some of you, that might be a little bit freaky, but where we're creating value is ways that we haven't seen yet. Just in the same way that Uber has been able to take location and bring you a car and Find My Friends and in Tinder, you're seeing what we're going to be doing is being able to extend our platform out to even more ways to be able to make connections and fundamentally change the way people connect and meet. So anybody, well, I put some of the names here on the bottom, but anybody have played with some of the apps up at the top here? There's a big rise of anonymous apps, right? Anonymous chatting, okay? Have you guys, I hope you all heard of Snapchat, right? There you go, right? There you go. But Snapchat turned down $3 billion to be bought by Facebook. This is big business here, what's going on. Mark Cuban, fellow on the left, he created an app called Cyberdust. He's a billionaire and is getting in this business. The two on the right are apps called Secret and Whisper. Both of these companies, if you're in this business and looking at the way that companies have been valuated, you're seeing them raising money at $10 million and $45 million to create these apps. Okay? So if you don't think these apps are big business, you got to really rethink and change your mind, especially in the money coming in and the valuations and the people getting involved. And then let's look at the way that companies have been sold over the last 6 months. Instagram, of course, is now owned by Facebook, paid $1 billion for it. Google bought Waze. Anybody use Waze? Yep, there you go. So a handful of people. Of course, open source maps or now curated maps, they were bought for $1.3 billion. And of course, WhatsApp, which made the news about 2 months ago, also bought by Facebook for $19 billion. Okay? So this is really big business. And Facebook, of course, these are numbers that they just had their earnings called yesterday. They just announced they have 1 billion people, 1 billion monthly active users on a mobile device. Okay, 1 billion monthly active. Okay? Their revenue for last quarter was $2.5 billion. Okay? So if you don't think they're big, they are huge. Okay? But we're getting a little bit of this kind of backlash here, right? How many of you have heard of this or seeing this, right? I can tell you firsthand as a marketer who is in the app space and is trying to promote my app, Social Radar, I'm seeing a lot of these younger generation not even have Facebook accounts. And to me, that was mind-blowing, right? I'm a Facebook user, been using it for a while. I'd like to think of myself as a social network, socially connected. These 13 and 14-year-olds who legally can have Facebook don't have it, right? So that presents a problem and a challenge for Facebook, and one that I believe you're going to see Facebook in a few years look more like Procter & Gamble, right? WhatsApp is going to remain, at least in the short term, to be WhatsApp. Instagram have literally still one of the most popular networks that is out there today is still Instagram. Okay, so don't be surprised if you don't think that Facebook will look more like Procter & Gamble. All right, so I'm going to transition a little bit here. Is anyone purchased mobile ads on Facebook? Does anybody consider themselves a mobile marketer? Okay, mobile marketer. So there's a couple here, and when I often go out to San Francisco, I meet more mobile marketing. It seems the space is more out there. But when I first got into this business, I was like, how hard can this be? I've been doing marketing for 20 years, right? Looks easy. It's just a phone. God, this is the most boring ad, right? You know, it's terrible, right? You got Hotel Tonight in now over 100 destinations. Yay, great. Push my button. Yay, go. Turned out to be, I was dead wrong. I am dead wrong, and I'm learning every day to get better at it. But all those things, all those behaviors that I learned as a marketer, and some of these things, I don't have enough time, but I'll tell you some of the things that where I was dead wrong. So first and foremost, holy mackerel. Talk about the ad buying formats. Okay, you could do page posts, page likes, clicks to website, app installs, app engagement, event responses, offer claims. Which ad format do you want to buy? CPI, CPC, CPM, CPA, CPV. Okay? Are you doing video, social media? I mean, real-time bidding, right? So your mind is already blown, and I haven't even gotten to, actually, let me go back. I haven't gone to even understanding what my goals are, my copy and my message. So the things that we all think about as marketer, what's our goals? What's our message? What's our, what are we trying to say? And then, to make it even more interesting, you've got new formats that are coming out every day by Facebook. They're in an agile development. They're constantly rolling out new things. And there's now something even called lookalikes, where you could take an audience and then replicate it to find new people or to find new Facebook buyers or users of your app. Then you can even get into psychographics, right? What level of interest do these people? Do they like brands? You can target people by certain websites, certain affiliations, certain anything. So in terms of Facebook, I believe it is the most sophisticated platform out there today. But as a marketer, in order to be master of it, you really have to get deep and learn it yourself. Now, some of you, and I can be guilty of this when I was at Blackboard, we had other people. We had junior folks, the 20-somethings who were really doing the buying formats, or your website guy or girl, right? But really, in order to understand this stuff, you have to get knee-deep into it to truly know where not only Facebook is going, but I believe really all marketing is going. Twitter just announced they're doing mobile install ads. And if you don't think their platform is going to be as sophisticated as Facebook's, you got to keep up with these things. A lot of these things are happening. So, again, some of these are probably obvious when it comes to it, things to consider. Your goals, your imagery, your copy, your audience, your cost, your budget. But things that are not so obvious are really getting into this. To me, this is familiar as a sales funnel. If you guys are B2B marketers, having come from Blackboard, we had a sales funnel, right? And you were looking at the different stages of qualifications, Salesforce, and looking at the way that marketing and sales kind of connect together. And there was a line in the middle. But really, this is the mobile. This is what I'm worried about today, which is what is the level of awareness that people have to have, and all the way getting down the funnel before you can look at usage and retention. And this is one thing that I've learned that just kind of frankly surprised me, but it's also a little bit of a growth hack. Anybody heard of growth hacking? It's becoming more popular today, but if you're not familiar with that term, it's really just a culture of behavior that internally in organizations, particularly startups, worry about growth. Growth is the most important thing when it comes down to a startup, and probably in many of your organizations too. So there's this label going around in terms of individuals, one called a growth hacker. What methodologies and what data insights that they can use that can inform the creative decision or the buying decision in some cases. So this is something that we looked at Social Radar, and we're seeing instant success. So I'll explain this because it's a lot of data here. So the purple screen is what we might naturally do as marketers. Say, okay, I'm going to download. You can publicly get, if you have an app or a website, you can publicly get information from Facebook. You take their API and you say, okay, great. Tell me all of my users and the pages they like. Well, maybe it's not a surprise to you, but Eminem, #1 page. Okay, maybe I'll go out and market to Eminem, fans of Eminem, and maybe more social radar people will come. Well, it turned out not to be the case. So I picked a few brands that were popular on the left-hand side. Eminem, Family Guy, you got YouTube, Walmart, a few other things there. I said, okay, well, let me market to those users. Turned out to be the cost per install was high, the messaging wasn't right, there were a lot of things just not working. And then we said, well, is that a true representation? If I just force rank and say the #1 people, #1 liked page is Eminem. Well, a growth hacking tip that I had learned was, why don't you look at something what we called an affinity score, okay? The way you got there and the way that you slice and dice the data was you take the number of internal likes as a percentage of the global likes, and then you get a score. And the green is on the right here, and now some of the data makes a little bit more sense, okay? TechCrunch, Smule, which is a photo app, and there's some music stuff. Sure enough, I start trying some of those brand pages on the right. Sure enough, costs go down, the number of downloads go up. So those little tips and tricks, you have to better understand the data to be able to slice and dice it for your business. And just to show you, I pulled out a couple of things. The number, so one of the top things on the left was Amazon, so I believe it's number 10 on the left, was number 261 on the right. So if I just market to Amazon, which was one of the top brands on the left, it didn't prove out to be the case. And then if I looked at the right, Gatorade was number 109 on the left. So sometimes the data, even though it's there, doesn't quite tell you all of the information that you need to know. All right, Vine. Any Vine users? Woo! Something you should pay attention as a marketer. Okay, there's a lot of familiar with native advertising or content marketing and a lot of other things. One thing that we explored about 3 weeks ago, and we're going to do another test next week, was that there's such a loyalty of Viners, okay? And these Viners, in this particular case, Matt Cutshaw, he has 284,000 followers. Guess what? He takes money, okay? He takes money to promote your brand, and there's a lot of them. Okay, there's a lot of people on Vine and Instagram willing to do your business. And the cool thing about Vine is they do a lot of what it's called magic, Vine magic, and a lot of videos and content and all of that. So guess what? We paid Matt to promote Social Radar app. Look how many likes and engagements and comments that we got, from one particular test. And then on the far right here, in the social networking category, I was able to boost, go from top 150 all the way up to number 18, okay? There's such a loyal following on Vine and Instagram. People will do what they say, okay? The one thing, though, to pay attention to, which I talked about earlier, is the demographics of these are very young, okay? So, obviously it has to make sense for your brand, so I'm not saying everybody could go jump on Vine and Instagram, but there are people who skew a little bit older. The more to the point is, we have a Facebook gateway to log into Social Radar. And because a lot of these kids do not have Facebook, it turned out to be a good experiment from us because we got to the top of the charts, but it turned out to be a bad experiment because they wouldn't log into Social Radar because they don't have a Facebook account. So there you go. So some of the, again, things that I'm learning every day and things that you have to experiment as being a modern marketer. And my last slide here is, have everybody heard of Candy Crush? Okay, they've $1 billion in revenue in 2013. Billion, okay? I think they either went public or looking to go public, okay? They went public, right? Huge, right? $1 billion in a game. And now the game business, really with apps in particular, it's an arbitrage. And what I mean by that is literally they know I can spend $5 to get a user on Facebook and I will get $7 in return. So is it marketing anymore, or is it really just big business, right? So they're able to see with all of these extra lives in the kid, get the kids addicted, right? And they will buy. They predicted this. They have this down to a science, where they know exactly what they can spend in marketing, and they know exactly what they will get back in return. So it's a tough business if you're also in the app business to compete. So that's it. I'll take a few questions because I know we're close to the break here, but feel free to connect with me in any way. I'm happy to share any insights that I'm learning. A lot of it is brand new because of the mobile space, but happy to come talk to you. Yeah, so the internal likes, we had taken our users from Social Radar. We have roughly 75,000 downloads to date, and we looked at the number of pages that our registered users had liked, like the pages they liked. So we all like a lot of brands on Facebook, right? We took all that data and then sorted it. That's the internal likes. The internal likes is this column right here. So you could see 1,800 people of our 70,000 like M&M, and that turned out to be the biggest brand, right? And then when we did the ratio, that rank over there, that 0.1552, that top number, is TechCrunch. So it turns out a lot of people skewing a little bit older on Social Radar, so a lot of people, the most popular page as a percentage is TechCrunch of Social Radar users. Maybe not a surprise, because that's part of who we were targeting initially. Yes? Absolutely. I think one of the mind-blowing things is the amount of data not only is Facebook willing to provide you, but the ability for you as a marketer to target. It is literally mind-blowing. And there is no secret sauce. There is no hack. There is this. You have to test. Oh, just as a point, I'm changing my ads every 8 days. So I need a lot of resources, a lot of copywriters, a lot of information, a lot of data scientists. We have a data scientist on board. He's helping me make sense of all this stuff, right? I'm just a brand guy, right? But you need a lot of smart people to be able to take this data and then influence the copy and the creative. But this is where this stuff is going. Yes? So they're within the news feed. They're more in the news feed like this particular. They're called mobile installs or the suggested posts. And the best part about Facebook is I can do mobile only. Not only could I do mobile only, I could do mobile iOS versus Android. I could even do iOS 7.1, the latest operating system. I could even then say only show it to them if they're on Wi-Fi. It's mind-blowing in terms of the numbers and scale that they have. Yeah, I've only been doing this for a year, and I think where you were talking about, this left-hand side was about 27 different type of ad options. They've reduced it to, just a handful here? Looks like 8 or 9. Okay, so they've reduced the number, and in some ways you're right as well. They're constantly looking to what is the best formats, and they kill them off and introduce them. This lookalikes buying was something that they just introduced a couple months ago. So the thing that we're trying to figure out is really how do you find your product market fit? Okay, so that's kind of a common thing. So we originally started to be positioned a little bit of social and professional, right? And you have to be able to do these tactics. So I believe one of the boldest things that we started to look at was the Viners, right? To be able to get into the consumer marketing and take advantage of things where they're cheap and they're not really where everybody plays yet. Frankly, the other bold part of it is using growth hacking methodologies. Frankly, you have to, as a marketer, there are a lot of tools and stuff out there. Some are what's called white hat, and some are a little bit gray, and they get a little bit towards there. You have to experiment and see how you can make sense of this data and look at ways to just innovate within your space. So without divulging too much details here, I'll happy to tell you a little bit more offline. App Store directly to download it.
And are the analytics in Facebook like crazy in-depth?
Mind-blowing. Yeah. You basically are giving permission to take the statistics inside of our app and give them to Facebook. That's why Facebook gives you so much data, because you're actually giving them, it's a two-way street, right? So you have to be comfortable with the fact that you're going to be giving an immense amount of data back to Facebook, okay? And they use that to, of course, spurn out more data, more ads, right? So it's a two-way street. It's give and get.
Kevin, thank you.
Thanks.